Hello, as a regular DriveTriber, you'll probably be familiar with this, my Jaguar XK150. You might have watched it being restored on DriveTribe, the work being done largely, mostly, entirely by Neil and Anthony Greenhouse. The good news is they've finished it and they dropped it off last night for me. So I thought I'd share my first drive of it with you. It lives! Oh, it's so good to be driving this. Again, I've driven it before, but not since restoration. Oh. Right, let me fill you in. The car. It is an XK150 FHC fixed head coupe. The 150 was the final version of the XK series of Jaguars before the E-Type. It all started with the 120 back at the beginning of the 50s, which was just beautiful, took the world by storm. Sexy, curvaceous, swoopy, arguably more so than the 150. But as is often the case with a new Jaguar, utterly beautiful, but nobody could fit in it. It's just something Jaguar do. If you think of the E-Type that followed this car, when it first arrived, everybody gasped, oh my God, that's the most beautiful car ever made, and then discovered not even me could fit in it. That's why the first few E-Types are known as the flat floors. The floor was flat, and as a result, you couldn't get your feet or your legs in it, which is a problem. Well, the 120 was likewise too cramped. The steering wheel was up here, forming part of your rib cage even before you crashed it. You had to sell your elbows to be able to drive it. It grew over the years, gaining power and equipment, but more to the point, size, until by the 150, you could fit in it. The engine is that straight six. It started at 3.4 litres. Same engine then went into the E-Type at 3.8 litres. This car entered my life when I swapped it for a vintage Lagonda that was getting very tired and I fancied a change. So this came along and I did the deal. It had been painted a rather ugly dark red, and underneath that dark red paint lurked, unbeknownst to me, a horror story. It had had a hard life. It had been crashed, bent, brutalised and abused. And because, like a lot of these cars, it went through a phase of being worth £2 and a packet of crisps. It hadn't been expensively repaired and restored. It had been bodged and lashed together. So we had great fun putting all of that right. The problem with these old Jags in any car of the period, they were not stamped out on a machine so that all the body parts were the same size on different cars, or even on the same car. Everyone was different. Restoring one of these is a big job because there's no datum point. You can't say, right, that bit is right, is correct. We'll fit everything from there. Because no bit of it was. They were never straight, the shut lines were never tight. Things were not the same on one side as on the other. So when it comes to restoring one, you really are building it. The plan for this car was not to turn it into a trailer queen. I wanted a car I can just get in and use. And that's what we've created. I've made some changes mechanically, I'll come to those, and some changes visually. I'll come to those now. This whole restoration has been a real experience for me because I've never before allowed myself the opportunity to treat it as a blank canvas and to do what I want with a car. So we started from scratch. I did stick with the original colour, dove grey, because I love it and it's weirdly fashionable now. But then changes, I stripped away all the bumpers because as standard they're huge and ugly and I wanted it to look stripped out and a little bit angry, a little bit sporting, a little bit like a rally car. There are some finessing touches. Bonnet strap, that's because I am a tart for a bonnet strap because, well, it finishes things off like a belt on a pair of jeans. It's gone baggy, and that's because we haven't snagged this car. It came straight out of restoration, we put it straight to work. It really needs another 3 weeks in the workshop to get it properly finished, and we will do that. The louvres in the bonnet I added because they look gorgeous. They remind me of the Coombs Jaguars that followed later on, and you need them. Those XK engines run so hot in those narrow confines. Any air going through is a good thing. It still wears the S badges. It didn't leave the factory with them. but it went back to the factory to be turned into an S, triple carbs and all of that, and then left with the S badges. So I defend its right to wear them. Then at the back, gone for the same theme. I wanted to keep things stripped out and simple. So the big ugly overhanging bumpers have gone. A bird added that. I didn't do that. We were lucky with the chrome because by and large it was okay, and I didn't want to just randomly replace everything. This is the car that did the Tulip Rally, as proven by the badge that it still wears today. Those straps, yeah, I mean, they're not necessary, a bit like the bonnet strap, but well, I like leather straps. That doesn't sound right. I wish I hadn't said that. Onwards. As well as a few visual changes, I have updated and upgraded it mechanically a bit. Full engine rebuild, slightly hotter cam, so it's a lovely lumpy idle that tightens up as it comes on cam and sings its glorious song. Drivetrain wise, bits and pieces, limited slip diff, which they would have had as an S, and better brakes. All the XK150s had disc brakes all round, which was a surprise in those days, but they were rubbish, which wasn't a surprise, so this has better brakes. Beyond that, there's only one significant change, and it's a controversial one. I've thrown away the Moss gearbox and put a modern gearbox in, and the jury is out. The selector mechanism is clunky, and I miss actually the crisp, snickety change of a well set up Moss gearbox. As long as you can deal with double declutching on the way down second to first, it's the way to go, I think. So that might be going back in. But does it work now as a car? Oh yeah. Yeah. It's got its character. The work on the engine, just hotting it up a bit as if anything enhanced that slightly angry straight six XK engine quality. The ride is so much better. New shocks, new springs, new bushes, job done, tightened up. It feels better than when it was new, but it actually feels closer to when it was new than it did when I first got it and it was soggy and tired. That's what you can't forget about these cars. They were bloody quick. Might look a bit quaint and oldie-worldy now, but in its day, this was a hot rod. It's an ongoing project. It ain't finished yet. There's bits of paint we want to put right. We did damage to that when I made them take the body off again to restore the chassis and replace all the running gear. Saw point, and as a result, it cracked and flexed a lot of the body, so it does need attention. Other than that, mechanically, I think we are good. It's rorty. This is what I like. I'm going to do it now. From low RPM, as it comes up on cam. Oh, there. It all tightens up. I'm very, very happy with this. It all happened completely by accident, but it is weirdly appropriate that this is the car that inspired my workshop show, largely due to your interest in it, and that we kick off the show by finishing it, more or less. Like I say, it is work in progress. It does make appearances in the show, and you can see it if you watch it, which I hope you do. Follow the link in description.